Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about Donald Trump's declaration of war against mail-in voting. We've been expecting a series of moves like this. This is the first big one. Mail-in voting is a huge and important part and growing of the vote in this country. Some 30 to 40% of the votes last time around employed it, and it tends to be in districts, or it's especially useful in districts where people can't get off work on election day, as well as districts that have inordinately long lines to vote, and mail-in voting permits you to skip those. In other words, districts that I think both Democrats and Republicans understand are disproportionately Democrat. So what is Trump doing? He's telling a lie, a flagrant lie, and a two-part lie, really. On the one hand, he's saying that we must do this to bring honesty, and that's in all caps on his social media, to the midterm elections. He says, that's a complete source of fraud during the 2020 presidential election. Bullshit, bullshit, and more bullshit, but the same bullshit. So we're going to see it again and again. And will he be able to make not just federal officials and Republicans that fall into line, but even state officials? Because lie number two is that he has the power, anything close to the power, to do it. He doesn't, and these decisions about mail-in ballots are absolutely made by states. But he says in his social media that states are merely an agent. This is another whole theory you're going to see, and if the courts and the Supreme Court endorse this even in part, it's another disaster. But states are just an agent for the federal government. They just count and tabulate. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them, right? It just couldn't be more express. I, your maximum leader, totally control the voting process, including details such as whether there is mail-in voting. And yes, states play a role, but they're just tabulating, etc. If I say no mail-ins, there are no mail-ins. And I say, and here's a whole nother, he's starting his, kind of over-the-top social media campaign. A follow-up Truth Social post today, this morning, says in all caps, the mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are a complete and total disaster must end now! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. That is, by the way, the next apparent line of attack is literally the use of voting machines that he says are inaccurate and expensive. And then the third lie for the mail-in voting, the United States is the only country in the world that uses it, just, completely concocted. So 3 lies: that it gives rise to widespread fraud, that the states are really just ancillary to the federal government and have to do what they say, and we're the only ones who do mail-in voting. So we can expect this to be the sort of planks of a really hard-charging campaign on the side of just the democracy. It's a harrowing development. This is really, as we've been watching all his outrages since January, the thing that has been most to me worrisome is sort of in the distance, that he'll do exactly something like this. He'll move on the electoral system itself with completely phony, laughable claims of fraud in the system. And possibly when it comes to the courts, you'll have a sort of mealy-mouthed decision, especially at the U.S. Supreme Court, saying, well, we have to give him some discretion, and, basically ignoring the fact that's in front of everybody's face, which is that this is just a complete lie. Remember, by the way, the dynamic. When they were counting the votes in 2020, many states counted the mail-in ballots after. So you had Trump being able to, he knew, everyone knew that they were disproportionately Democratic, but he was able at a certain point to say, we're ahead. We've got to stop everything now. Don't count those mail-in ballots. They're just fraud. So he's at least laying the groundwork for doing the same sort of thing and just making a general broadside against mail-in ballots. And, we're 15 months away, and we're going to see some fundamental campaigns to just undo the voting system we have. And just to be clear what that means, to disenfranchise, it's all about disenfranchising Democrats disproportionately and perpetuating a system where Republicans have probably a minority, but at most, a fingernail advantage, and rather than trying to grow their support or whatever, what Trump is all about is just trying to hang in there by hook or by crook, really by both, including by saying, and we'll hear this drumbeat again and again, and it's just manufactured out of thin air, that there is rampant fraud. So mail-in voting, a really, really big part of the overall puzzle. And if the Dems are to win, it will be with really strong mail-in voting. So it's already, if he can just even partially win this battle or get some states to in a rank kind of partisan way, do away with mail-in voting with some kind of really ridiculous justification that it gives rise to fraud. We're going to battle of anecdotes where there were 2 cases of fraud, or to try to build the whole case on. The consequences could be huge. It is the basic template, not to get too alarmist here, but it's the basic template for totalitarian takeovers of democracies. That is, it's not a matter of just boots in the streets invasions, which we, as I've said in other YouTube, are starting to see in DC. It's a matter of commandeering of the legal apparatus to basically give the impression of some kind of pursuit of legal means, but really just trying to stack the deck in such a way that the elections that occur, the scales already have been so weighted that the ruling party stays in power. That's concretely what we're looking at. And this first attack against a really important and disproportionately democratic form of voting is sort of, an arrow at the heart of the election system and the democracy. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.